Alright, what's going on, guys? George here, and today we're going to be working on the 240SX once again. And today we're starting to wrap everything up. We got a bunch of stuff done. We're going to be working on the oil system. Pretty much it's going to be the feed for the turbo and the return for the turbo, as well as our catch can. Not that complicated, but very important things that we're not going to be able to do boosted 240SX turbo drift things without.
Sinatra. Alright. Yeah, homie, I'm coming, and I'm never gonna give up. My mentality is making rappers feel like they can never even live up to logic. You bust, I dodge it.
So this week we ended up picking up these pliers so we could go ahead and orient the turbo oil housing in the middle. As you can see, the wastegate and the little listing and the compressor housing, and it's just like you can't move this because there's a little rod here. It's a little part of the wastegate because this turbo is internally wastegated. And we're going to be leaving it like that because there's really no need to change that. This, I think the factory spring is set around 8 psi, which for what we're going to be starting with will be great. If we need to turn it up, we can always adjust something, but we've already loosened up the bolts on the exhaust housing side, and then we're going to go ahead and use a snap ring on the compressor housing, and then you should be able to just spin the thing in the middle. So the person who owned the engine that's in the car right now before me, they had blown up another KA, so they had gotten this one and they were going to put it in their car and boost it with all their old boost KA things from their old motor, but they never ended up actually doing that. They like went to an RB20 and then like other things. So the oil pan off this motor was off their old motor, so it is like from a motor that had a turbo on it, which means they had a little bung on the oil pan that they used for the oil return. So I was really lucky I didn't have to drill one out, tap one, or weld one in. So we already had one, but the issue is exactly where it is, it hits a place that mounts to the steering rack, which is really annoying. So the only way you can get to it is by like unbolting the driver's side motor mount, loosening it up a bunch, then putting like some 2x4s under the oil pan and then jacking that up, and you can move the motor up, and then you can get to it. So I ended up lifting that side of the engine up, as you can see here. And I think that the reason why the bung is in this place, which seems really weird to me, like it's like out of anywhere you could put it here. The reason I imagine is whoever had this engine or put this bung in this oil pan, they did it when the car had an AC compressor, because that's where the AC compressor goes, and this is the only reason I would even imagine anyone would put the bung in this location, because out of anywhere you could put it on this side of the motor, it's in the worst place possible. Nah, it could be worse. It's not in the best place. And I don't have an AC compressor, of course, but if you did have one, I think that's why they put it there. That's my thought, but I don't have one, so we're good. We're not actually that good. It's in a bad place, but it's okay. So I did jack the motor up a little bit to fit the thing on for the bung so I could screw the return line on, but when I was looking at it, it was like, it's kind of in a sketchy place, so I just put another one of the shims that came with the ISR motor mounts in that side, so then that side of the motor sat probably a half a centimeter higher, but that was enough, so there was no clearance issues at all with the little fitting on the bung to the return of the oil pan hitting the steering rack mount thing for the bushing, so we're all good on that. Okay, so it fits on perfectly, so now I'm going to go ahead and get our thread tape that we purchased a few days ago on all the oil drain items going from the turbo down to here, because this is the last thing I'm going to hook up, because it's probably going to be the most difficult. And I want everything else to be set up how it's going to be so nothing sketchy happens when we try and lower the motor down. So, Teflon tape. So what we have here is part of the oil drain that's going to be coming off the turbo. This is going to be the drain line, and then it's going to come down on the other end down to the, whatever it's called, the drain bung in the oil pan. So pretty much, I'm going to go ahead and take these things off. They should just be hand tight on here. And then I can go ahead and use some, alright. Hand tight's a little aggressively tight. I'm going to go ahead and remove these, then we'll go ahead and slap our Teflon tape in here. Actually, I think we actually need to put the gasket in here too. After we've done both, that's really the wrong size for that. After we slap the Teflon tape in here, we will go ahead and tighten everything up. Yeah, I don't think the gasket's in there. Whew, now we gotta try and find it. So I thought I lost the gasket that went in between this and the turbo. Turns out it was actually in the location where it was supposed to be with all my other tiny gaskets and fittings for all the turbo oil lines. Obviously the last place I would look. So yeah, we're good to go. We go ahead and start by, hopefully, which way is this? That goes in that way. So, putting this gasket on. And if for some reason, if this gasket decides not to get a nice seal, we'll just throw RTV on it. And that's what I was about to do in this situation, but I really didn't want to do that. But we'll see. We got these gone nice and tight. Seems tight. I've never really used this stuff before. I probably put too much on, honestly. Alright, that's definitely tight enough. Now we're going to go ahead, put some more thread tape on this. There we go. Perfection. That's where I wanted it to be. And I'm not going to use Teflon tape on this because this is like the flared fitting inside of it, and that will seal up with this because they're like designed for each other and they'll be perfect. So let's go ahead and tighten this one down on here. That seems tight. So now we're going to be going ahead and installing the turbo to the manifold. The only thing that's going to be questionable at this point is the oil feed. So the turbo's already been clocked to the correct direction with the drain on the bottom and the feed on the top. The only thing that's going to be questionable is if it will get through the header nicely. I think it's going to end up going through a set of runners, so we'll see right now. Alright, so I'm just going to put one bolt on here, just so it's held in place, so I can just mock up where the oil feed is going to go. This isn't the actual oil feed, it's just an AN line. Oh, this is going to be sketchy AF. Might have to rethink my approach on this. This is not going to work. It's going directly into the runner for the cylinder 3. So to fix the issue where it's going to bump into the header coming off the oil feed, went ahead and ordered a 90. I'll be able to hook it all back up again. Got everything sorted out. Went ahead and ordered a 3N to 3AN so I could adapt my feed line to my actual T, where I'm going to be adding the aftermarket oil pressure sender. So we should be good. I ordered everything that should be here next week, and then we can finish everything as for the turbo feed. So what we have here is the little section for the oil feed. It'll go right in off our AN line, into the turbo, off the 3AN. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and throw the manifold on, turbo on, the oil drain on, and I think that will pretty much be final for that because I see no other reason why I'll have to take it off. So I'm going to go ahead and throw all the gaskets in. I don't know if I might not torque everything down yet or make it tight, but I'm just going to go ahead and pretty much mentally, I'm pretty much like, this is on there. We don't have to do much else to this. Boost.
Think you see me now, you just mirage it. I'm gonna like a semi-automatic that's fully equipped with lyricism to let them have it. I blast it, any style that you coming at me with, I master. I son motherfuckers, then I'm out on you bastards.
Down here's the oil drain. Making a very wide turn to come back. As you can see right here, we have our oil drain. It navigates around the back of the motor mount, avoiding the steering rack, comes to a 90 down here, then goes right into the oil pan. The engine's propped up about an inch higher than it actually will sit, so when it comes down, should be good, shouldn't hit the motor mount, but if anything becomes sketchy, we'll address that as it comes down to it. I'm going to be installing my oil catch can. This is nothing special. This is $15 on eBay, because I mean, all it really is like a can that has a bolt hole in the bottom, and it like comes with a little bit of mounting hardware, but it's kind of sketchy. I don't know. The reason we're putting this in is it would replace where the crankcase, there's a little hole in the valve cover where the crankcase pressure vents out. And you don't really want that shooting back into your intake when you have a turbocharged car, because it's just like oil in there and it just like pressurizes some stuff that shouldn't have pressure. When on a naturally aspirated car or a factory car, it's okay, but in our case, there's really no need to do that, so we'll go ahead and put the oil catch can a little bit off to the side, and we might get a little breather for the other side of it, so we can just have everything being happy when we're renting all our pressure out of this nice little blue hose that will probably melt. So let's get started. So I pretty much decided I'm going to be mounting it right around here. Yeah, so it comes with this little bracket thing and a hose clamp. Okay, this is kind of sketchy. It's just like a cylinder hose clamp to a piece of metal that will be bolted to the car. That's what you get for $15 in China. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten it because this is pretty much where I've decided it's going to have to sit. Alright, so we're going to be mounting it right here, so I'm going to mark that as I've done. Pull that off, and then right there I'm going to drill a hole at that X. Alright, so we have our holes drilled.
I'm just playing with you. Yeah, you know I had to keep it going. Kick rhymes that blow minds from C4. Real, recognize real, and you looking foreign. I was spitting flows before I was even born in the womb. And I'ma keep it up into the tomb. And as for the fame, yeah, I know it's coming soon. Cause I'm going in raw and the bust up in your room.
Alright, so we got this thing bolted up here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take this wrench to this. Just adjust this angle a little bit.
I'm too sick to spit that yoga flame. The way I see it, this is rap, second renaissance, spitting dirty sentences, so ill they affect medicine. Ha, I'm heaven sent and spitting fire like a demon. As the internet allow my flow to get it screaming.
I mean, ideally it would fit onto this, but it's nowhere, like it can go inside of it, but it really needs to go around the outside. So it turns out that this company is actually sick because it includes this little adapter, and I was like, I have no clue what that is. You just put this right over your actual, like, PCV valve or crankcase thing. Bam. If I can just loosen this up a little bit and slide it around. But, like, it works now. So, like, you put this on here, and then you can connect the tiny thing that they give you to this. And I'll maybe put a hose clamp on it, actually. And then you're sick. Because you're, like, good, and you can... all your extra oil stuff just flying over here into your catch can. I'm going to have to mount this or route this wired cable tube a different way because this is kind of like sketchy going across everything. But I mean, there we go. So as you guys know, on this setup, I'm not going to be running any sort of water lines to cool the turbo. It's not necessary. I know a lot of people run 240s, SR20s, K8s, and even like completely different setups, and they don't run water lines to their turbo. But since the only thing that's going to be cooling the turbo, and it's going to be taxed a little bit more now, is the oil system, since we're going to have to be shoving oil through a turbo now, as well as everything else, we might see some extra heat in the oil. So right now I'm not going to be running an oil cooler because I don't know if I need one. I have an oil temperature bung that's going to be going somewhere in the oil system at some point, not right now. I have the gauge in the car and everything. I'm not going to be putting the bung in yet because it's a little different thing. I'm going to need an adapter for it. So once we get that in, we'll be able to watch our oil temperatures, and if they do spike, they get too hot, I'm not thinking they're going to, but if they do, we will be putting an oil cooler into the car because I don't want to play hot oil games because out of anything that could cause the motor to break, I don't need it to be oil temperatures that are too high. That's something we can easily take care of. So if that becomes a problem and we're seeing hot oil temperatures, we're going to get an oil cooler, take care of that entire issue, and we don't have to worry about it. So now that we've got all the oil stuff done on the motor, we might have to do some small things down the road. If we see any issues in the future with any of our oil lines, our catch can, we're going to be going back and addressing them, but for now that's pretty much it. So if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Like, the car is going to be running so soon. Like, there are so few things. Like, we're going to need to hook up some vacuum lines for like the wastegate and stuff. We got to do like finalize the intercooler pipes, make sure everything's perfect. Like, that's pretty much it. Wire up the battery, like, such small things. Like, this car is ready to go. And I hope that you guys will enjoy that a lot. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the link in the description. You can buy a drifting sticker. Right here we have a drifting sticker. If you have a go-kart, you can put it on there. It looks very nice. Like, people are like, oh, look, drifting on your go-kart? Of course. Dual sticker setup, one in the back too.
Listening, now I'm in your head while you dreaming. Leo DiCaprio flow, I'm up in that bitch scheming. Trying to get you to buy the album, trying to get you fiending. See my vision as I commentated. New one to scene, they can rebut or debate it, but they hate I ate it.